And we are back with another episode of From the Rafters. Sam and I here recording on Wednesday, April 21st. 2 days off for the Celtics in a row for the first time since, I believe, the beginning of March, maybe the middle of March. But it's been a while. And the first thing, obviously, 6-game win streak is coming to an end. Lost to the Bulls. Although I'm not tripping too much about it. Like, it sucks, yeah, that they lost because they should have beat that team. But it's not, you know what I'm saying, though? It doesn't feel like it's one of those world-ending losses, right?
I'm pretty pissed about it. If that is, I'm pretty pissed. That's a game they should win. They lose to a terrible team. I don't care if they were missing players. They had their two best, and they didn't win. I don't care about the triple-double for Tatum. Even I'm not upset with Tatum. Let me say that.
Yeah.
I'm not like blame. Well, he deserves some of the blame, but I'm not like gonna rip him for it. I mean, he's had an incredible stretch here.
Exactly.
You're gonna have an off night, and I think he did a great job of
Getting other
distributing the
people
ball.
involved.
Yeah, I think he did an excellent job of that. But they have no business losing that game. You've got two tough games now that you have to win. In my opinion, I want to see them keep winning, of course, and potentially catch Milwaukee, who's been not playing well.
I think the goal should still be to stay in that 4 seed. I think while it'd be nice to catch the 3 seed, I don't think that should be the focus of the season necessarily, because the way they've been, they can do it. They're a different team.
I
They showed that
agree
over the
with
past
you
week,
on that,
but
and I'm going to let you finish. But I would want to be in position to get the 3 seed and have the option to try and take it, depending where Philly, Brooklyn ends up. So you can pick.
And that's also fair. And Brooklyn's dealing with their own quote-unquote injuries. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I have that written down. But the reason I'm not too upset with the Bulls game is, like you said, Jason Tatum was having a spectacular stretch. 3 of 17 from the field against the Bulls, obviously not good at all. He's bound to have an off shooting night. That just happens. You can't shoot that hot forever unless you're Michael Jordan, right?
Or Jaylen Brown, who does it regularly.
I suppose so, yeah.
No,
Jaylen Brown, he has his off nights too. Exactly, yeah. He has his off nights too. And another reason I'm not too worried about it is because it's going to be tough to win games. And I know you said you discount the guys that were out, but it's hard to discount them when you're running out Tremont Waters in the last 2 minutes of the game. That's going to hurt.
Excellent.
I don't care if he's excellent. I don't give a shit if he's
only
excellent.
out there.
That doesn't mean it's
really
ideal.
Good.
Exactly. But if you have to run out Tremont Waters, Romeo Langford, and Grant Williams in your final 3 minutes together,
Williams sold big time. He was awful.
My point is, if you have to run all those 3 together, it's probably not going to end out in a win, right? That's not a good
final
they're
playing against Chicago.
Sam, I don't give a shit.
Rolling out there.
Sam,
it doesn't matter.
None of those 3 guys would get more minutes in Chicago than they do here. Chicago is playing their real end of game lineup. Their starters are better than those end of the bench guys in Boston.
They're not playing.
That's
just Tatum, Brown. Romeo was in there for the defensive possessions, and then he wound up in there because they didn't take a timeout, and he took 2 shots to end the game. Tremont Waters was in there to give Pritchard a break, and he just played well, so they kept him in. And Grant was in there for defensive purposes, but he had a terrible game.
Yes, but my point is, if you're missing 4 of your top 8 players on the roster, it's not going to look good at the end of the game. And
Jack,
they
shouldn't have to be at the end of the game. Chicago's missing their best player.
Yes, but the rest of the roster is still better than that end of the bench.
They're bad, but then they have them, and then they still don't have them, and they beat you.
Chicago's starters, regardless of Zach LaVine being out, are better than the Celtics end of the bench players. That's just a fact.
You can say that for any team.
Yeah. Yes, which is why I'm saying I'm not too upset with the loss. It happens.
Are they better than Pritchard, Brown, Tatum, Ojale, and Thompson? They're Chicago starters?
They're better than Pritchard, Ojale, and Thompson. Maybe not Thompson, but Pritchard and Ojale, yes, probably.
Who's better than Pritchard?
Thaddeus Young, Nikola Vucevic, Kobe White.
Well, I'm talking position. Of course, Vucevic is good. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about the other guys. Patrick Williams is still kind of raw. He's a decent rookie. Who else started for them?
I take Patrick Williams and Thaddeus Young over Semi Ojeleye and Grant Williams, though, any day of the week.
Yeah, but I'm not. Shemi started, but Thad Young came off their bench.
I'm talking to the end of the game, though, is my point. Like, if you're running out Tremont Waters, Romeo Langford, Grant Williams in crunch time, that's going to be tough. And they definitely could have won. I'm not saying they couldn't have won, and they probably should have won the game realistically because Tatum and Brown could have.
They scored they scored 30-something first quarter points, and they didn't even break 100.
Yeah, no, it was tough to watch. And Tatum having that poor shooting night is probably a big reason for that because he's been carrying the offense and he needed to do so even more with Kemba and Marcus. I'm not saying they couldn't have won the game. They probably should have won the game realistically. I'm just saying I'm not going to complain too much about it considering how well Tatum has been playing and the lineup they had at the end of the game there. It was tough. I'm just saying, like, realistically, they probably should have won the game. I agree with you, but I'm not going to be like super upset about it because of the way Tatum's been playing and
Trevor
because
Waters,
of
by the way,
they
might have
had to.
been the best player in the fourth quarter
Yeah, no, he had a couple good plays. He had a couple real good
in
plays.
the entire game, not just on the Celtics.
No, yeah, he made a
He was
couple hustle
really good.
plays, but
That was the
yeah,
Tremont Waters we were fawning over before the season.
it was. He made the hustle
Good for
plays,
him.
but
Glad he got
but
it. Danny Ainge just as surprised as everybody else that Tremont Waters got to play.
now let me ask you this. Earlier this season, I'm completely different topic here. Earlier this season, we saw the Clippers game with Carson Edwards, right? You remember that one?
Played well, yes.
And then the next game versus the Suns, he got a chance. Does Brad give Tremont Waters a chance in the next one? Any chance?
No, because they're going to be healthy, and he only played because they were unhealthy, and he still almost didn't play.
Yeah. They played
If they didn't have the
instead.
depth, like say, was Kemba playing? Yes, he was because he played really well against the Clippers. But there's not going to be any opportunity for him because I mean Pritchard's going to be off the bench. Smart's probably going to be back. Kemba's going to be back. They're going to be pretty close to full strength, if not at full strength Thursday or tomorrow night.
No, yeah, that was more of a joke.
Which is exciting.
Hopefully they will be. I know Evan Fournier is definitely not playing again. Brad was talking about that.
He's not playing again?
No, I don't think he's playing versus the Suns.
Oh,
Pre-game, I believe it was before this last game against the Bulls, he said something along the lines of,
I thought
he's
it was
probably
they
not going to
hoped
play
have him
Thursday.
on Thursday.
I think they
You
hope
know
to
better
have
than
Rob
me because
back.
you deal with all the pressers.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain, and I could be wrong here, and I can go into the. I have a little Google Doc I can probably reference here, but I think it was something along the lines of Robert Williams should be back because he was just right around the corner, and they weren't sure about Evan Fournier because it's less so having to do with the Celtics, but more so having to deal with the team, doctors, and coordination with the league.
He's going to be able to be all right.
Yeah.
Speed to play.
You know what I'm saying, though? It's league protocols holding Evan back right now. It's not the
This
Celtics.
is so annoying, man. COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, it's precautions you have to take, especially since he probably had it. The amount of time he's been out, he definitely had COVID.
Yeah.
But it's just annoying.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to find. Okay, yeah. On Evan Fournier, Brad Stevens before the Bulls game in his pregame conference said this. Fournier is still out. Oh, no, sorry. Evan has his final test in the next couple of days. I would say he's probably doubtful for Thursday and limited beyond that. That'll be determined by our doctors. Obviously, he still has to pass all the tests. So that's the quote.
Their doctors, by the way, should be under some scrutiny with the amount of guys that have been out this year. They need to be on the hot seat. The team's training staff. A lot of the guys injured, knee soreness, things like that.
Yeah,
ever since Ed
just
Lessert left, it has not been great.
Realistically, everyone around the league this year is getting hurt, though. Like, and I'm not saying that's an excuse for the Celtics. I'm just saying it's a tough.
Well,
tough
I
year.
even mean preceding this year.
Yeah, also true. And obviously, we're not talking about like Gordon Hayward injury. That's a freak thing. That's not
freak injury is fine, but
exactly
like the Kyrie thing where he was hurt. I'm not sure how much of that is, on him or the team. Who else was hurt? I mean, you have the Kemba knee if you really want to go there. Jaylen Brown's hamstring or tendonitis, whatever he had. Robert Williams, his constant injuries. Romeo Langford's constant injuries. I mean, there are a lot of injuries that happen to the Celtics, and if you look it up, I'm sure you can see that they're missing a lot of guys consistently over the last couple of years compared to other teams.
Yeah. Only team that can rival the Celtics is the Pacers. They've had a they've had a tough go of it this season. That's just a joke, though. I mean,
Warriors
Celtics
too.
Warriors have had
Clay
a tough go
keeps
as well.
getting hurt. Durant got hurt in the finals. They've had a tough one too.
Yeah, Curry got hurt last year. Might have held him out a little bit longer to get that James Wiseman pick, but regardless, Curry's back and better than ever this season. But yeah, I mean, circling back around, Bulls loss. It sucks. Like, I agree with you. They definitely probably should have won that game. But in the end, that loss probably won't hurt them too much in terms of overall this season. What's important now is, these Suns and Nets games. And may I point out to you, Sam, I want to bring this up. Nets are hurt. Nets are hurt right now. It's going to be Kyrie and the rest versus the Celtics. You excited for that?
Well, no, because Kemba's not going to play. They're still probably going to lose. I mean, they're terrible when Kemba doesn't play. Ever since he came back, the games that he misses, they've been awful.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to have a guy he's making an impact now, but before the whole narrative was he barely makes an impact when he plays, but when he doesn't play, it's even worse because you don't have that production, right? It's tough to have a guy who can't play back-to-backs, and the Celtics have dealt with that all season. Hopefully that's not a thing next year, because if it is, I'm going to be real pissed, but I guess we'll have to see moving forward.
At least in the playoffs, there's no back-to-back games, so it doesn't matter. Having him healthy is the important thing, and he's going to be playing every game in the playoffs, barring injury. So it's just irritating when you're trying to watch your team get some wins together, string some wins like they did last week, and you guys. I mean, I think Birkin said it in the YouTube chat pregame that they might have got vaccinated. That's why they missed the game. So good for them. If they
Could be it.
Hopefully they did.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's frustrating when you're missing your team all the time.
Mm-hmm. And the Nets have a pretty lengthy injury report. I know the Suns are first, but obviously Nets is the premier matchup everyone's looking at because it's, Eastern Conference, Kyrie Irving's there. KD is out Wednesday at Raptors, but he's day-to-day listed, so he could play supposedly against the Celtics. James Harden's out indefinitely now. I don't know if you heard that, but that's an interesting designation.
Muscle injuries don't concern. That's what it is, right? It's hamstring. Muscle injuries don't concern me. If he's got a knee problem, it's like, oh, maybe there's something there, and he'll actually be missing time or lose a step, but it's a muscle injury. He'll be fine.
It says he suffered a setback during a rehab session and is undergoing an MRI. So that's the part that sounds somewhat concerning, to be going through rehab and have something like that happen. But the interesting part to me, and I don't want to accuse James Harden of not being hurt or anything, Steve Nash in his press conference said he'll probably be back for the playoffs. Really?
Yeah, he'll be fine. I'm telling you, he's going to be fine.
Yeah. It's definitely.
By the way, all these teams around the league getting fined for sitting players, and Oklahoma City's just sitting pretty with Al Horford rotting.
I think the only difference there, and I'm not defending Oklahoma City, I think it's crap what they're doing, but I think the quote-unquote agreement the two sides came to is preventing them from getting fined. You know what I'm saying? Because they came out, they made an agreement. I still don't like it, obviously, because I think it's crap that they can
I don't think that's any different if there's an agreement. I mean, I don't think any player's going to just sit out. There's an agreement if someone's doing load management or, if they're being accused of fake, reasons to sit out. I mean, obviously a player agrees with the team to sit out.
I guess so, but I think, and again, I'm not disagreeing with you that the Al Horford situation sucks, because I think it's, again, crap what they're doing. But the difference is the league is finding people for resting players. Like the Bucks, when they quote unquote rest Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday against a bad team, is different than the Thunder just saying we're not going to play Al this season. Again, it's crap that they can just do that, but I think that's where the difference in getting fined versus not.
I think they're equally as bad. I think the Milwaukee one is more justified because you're trying to preserve your players a little bit for the playoffs. Oklahoma City's just trying to tank.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's just, I don't know if the league has something like that.
Tell you, man, just make 2 tiers to the NBA, and if you're really bad, you get sent down to a lower tier. Tanking will not happen anymore. It's an easy solution like that. Then the problem is, how does the draft work? How does this work? How does the other thing work? Then it gets difficult. But you want teams to stop tanking, that's the number one thing you could do.
There is 0% chance that ever happens in the history of basketball. Unfortunately,
you're probably right, but it would be very interesting if they did that.
It'd be cool. You mean like the Premier League and League One and League Two
and
everything?
And you could make more. You could make more NBA franchises too. I mean, you could give Seattle a team. Like if you really want to expand your league, which I don't like expansion, to be honest with you. I think they have enough teams. But if you're going to do it, I mean, that's not a bad idea.
I'm a huge fan of expansion. I'd love to see an expansion team. I just think the whole thing would be fun. But I think that comes down to
then they're going to take players off your team. I think we've discussed this before, and you told me that's not how it works. But I still don't like that.
I think it comes down to you being more of a Celtics fan and me being more of an NBA fan. I think that's what it comes down
It
to
probably
realistically.
is, but I don't see any reason for them to add more teams. I think it would be
Yeah.
nice to have a team in Seattle. I don't know how fair it is they lost their team when, let's see, like cities have two teams. Like there's no reason for that.
Yeah.
No city should have two teams. You have
Yeah.
enough. I understand why there are for market reasons. Obviously, like you're going to make more money being in Los Angeles as the Clippers instead of like Seattle
Mhm.
or, Brooklyn moving from New Jersey. I mean, I understand, but at the same time, there's legit no reason for that when there are places that don't have teams.
Yeah. I got you. And since you brought the topic up, Sam, I'm gotta ask you the question. The way it works is you protect 8 players. You know the question I'm gonna ask you: what players do you protect if there's an
Tatum
expansion draft?
Brown,
1, 2,
Marcus,
3,
Pritchard,
4,
Williams,
5.
Robert Williams.
Yep.
We got 5. Okay. Then you've got,
It's a little tough past that because it's like, eh.
well, we'll say Fournier because you want to re-sign him.
All right.
So that's 6. Well,
It's definitely
I
it's
guess
weird.
Romeo Langford.
Okay.
And
Grant,
then,
Neesmith.
no, maybe Neesmith, but I don't know. Yeah, I'd say Neesmith because someone's definitely going to take him from you.
All right. Fair. And then, so the way it works, you can only take one player. And so, like, say they
That's the
take,
thing that you
yeah,
told me. So like
Mhm.
even if they take someone, you'll be fine.
Exactly. So if they take Grant Williams, they can't also take Neesmith. They can only take one.
They're not going to
But
take Grant Williams, Jack. Don't worry.
but who would they take from the Celtics? Maybe they take no one because I don't think
They
they
would
want
take
Kemba's
maybe
contract.
Tristan Thompson.
Would they take Kemba?
Maybe
I
that would
guess.
be lucky. They did. Not that I don't like Kemba, but I mean
Of course.
it's an answer to a big problem that they kind of have.
Mm.
Even though it has potential not to be a problem, but right now it seems to be a problem in a lot of people's minds, even though he's playing decent basketball.
Yeah.
I don't know. If he was playing
Poor
every
guy.
game instead of resting some games, it would be maybe different. I don't know. It's the Kemba situation is weird.
Mm. It's definitely interesting to see how it goes down this offseason. It wouldn't surprise me if they make another push to trade him. I don't obviously dislike Kemba. I like him. I think he can make an impact, but the contract is definitely rough. But getting back to these next couple days, Suns of the Nets. Would you be disappointed if the Celtics go 1-1?
Probably. I mean, maybe not. It depends who plays for Brooklyn. I think the Phoenix game is the big game here, even though the Nets are the conference rival and everything, because you're probably going to be closer to full strength if Fournier plays. If he doesn't play, who knows? But you're going to have Kemba because I don't think they're going to sit him the first night of a back-to-back and play him the second. But Phoenix is on a back-to-back. It should be
Are
a
they?
winnable game. You're at the Garden. Yeah, we
Who
talked about
who
this.
who do they got tonight? Do they have someone tonight?
They've got
I can Google. You
they've
keep
got
talking.
somebody. It might be Philly.
It is Philly. It
Yeah,
is Philly tonight. Okay.
they
That's
play
tough back to
Philly
back.
tonight. The Brooklyn game should be winnable with all the injuries that we just talked about. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, they lost to Chicago on Monday, and I was happy, satisfied going into the week, winning 2 out of the 3 games. You've already lost your one game. This is why I'm saying I want them to win both,
Okay.
because I still want them to make up ground on Milwaukee. Just so need be, they have
Mhm.
the option. It doesn't exactly work like that, but they could probably catch Milwaukee with the strength of their schedule if they decide that that's what they want to do or need to
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
So
Gotcha.
I would like to see them move up. And I'm getting real sick. I think they're in 6th right now. I don't even think they're in 4th or 5th
Yep.
because teams keep winning. The Celtics rip off a win streak. Everyone decides they want to start winning.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got a stat that's gonna piss you off. Well, first of all, this one won't piss you off, but Celtics 8-2 in their last 10, right?
Everyone else
Haw-
around them is probably just about the same.
Hawks and Knicks are both 8-2 in their last 10 as well.
Yeah, like the teams decide to suck all year.
Mhm.
Atlanta not so much because they've been pretty good since McMillan's been their coach. But in all the other teams, like they've been sucking, and then all of a sudden they want to step on the gas here. Like
Heat
the
and the
Celtics
Hornets
played an
are.
incredible stretch, and they haven't really moved up. That's the annoying part.
Yeah, I mean they're keeping. I don't want to say keeping their head above water because I think
I mean, they
this
are.
stretch. Yeah,
They're
but
not
my point
drowning.
is Exactly. My point is this stretch, it's doing more than that, in my opinion, though. Because keeping their head above water means, okay, they're hovering around 500, maybe 1 game over, 2 game over. They're 4 games over right now. They have a chance to go, what, 5 and 6 games over next
which
two
they
days.
probably won't. I don't
Yeah,
think they're going
but
to win both games. I think they're going to lose one. I don't know
yeah.
which one it's going to be because you've got a really tough game on Thursday against a good team, one of the
Really
best in
good
the
team.
West. But then you have a game where you're very likely to play down to your competition, especially if nobody plays for them.
Yeah, Nets have been good all year, regardless of injuries, though, I will say. Like, they've played through them a
Which
lot.
is
They haven't
annoying
had all 3 guys. Yeah,
because the guys that are
it's
on
frustrating.
in their like rotation, like the role players are not that good. They're like
Mhm.
they're really not that good of players, but they're really playing well, and that
Some
pisses
of
me off
them,
because the
some of them have
Celtics
had,
do that.
yeah, some of them had breakout season, though. Give credit where credit's due. Like guys like Nick Claxton, breakout season. He's a quality player now. Joe Harris, you can't complain about. The
Well,
guy
no, Joe
makes
Harris is a good
shots.
player.
Yeah.
We all knew that. I'm more annoyed that the guys are having breakout seasons. That's what's pissing me off.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like
Gotcha.
Jeff Green, even though he's like a veteran, like
Yeah.
he's playing well all of a sudden, and he
He
really hadn't
always
been.
does that, though. He does that every
He
season.
hadn't been really productive since leaving the Celtics.
Oh, I don't know about that.
He bounced around. Jackie's been on so many different teams. There's a reason for that.
But he's been quality in all of those teams. Let
Has
me
he
go.
has
Let
he
me
been
take a look.
efficient?
Let me take a look. Let's see. Since leaving the Celtics, he shot this season. He's shooting 48% from the field for the Nets. Last season for the Rockets, he shot 56% from the field.
How many games did
Uh,
he play for Houston last year? I feel like
for
he was
Houston,
traded or something.
18. He was rough in
Yeah,
Utah. I'll give you that. He was
yeah.
rough in Utah, but other than that, he's only had
Wasn't great in
realistically
Cleveland.
2 tough seasons. He was great in Cleveland. He averaged 48% from the field.
I don't know, man. He was not making as much noise on any of those teams as he is now.
No, and I think that's well. I mean,
He was in a much smaller role. He was
exactly.
barely on the teams, and now
But
he's
now
playing well
he's
again.
got
It's
to
really
figure
annoying.
out. He had a couple good seasons there in Cleveland and Washington where he averaged 11 and 12. But I understand your point. It's tough to see a guy like that make an impact, and it's frustrating at least.
Landry Shamet,
Yeah,
like who else is
that's.
on
I'll give
that
you that
team?
one. Let me
Tyler
find the roster.
Johnson, who was a solid player back in the day for Miami.
I will say Nets injury report right now includes Nick Claxton, Tyler Johnson, Reggie Perry, and Chris Chiozza. I know a couple of those names are probably out there, but they've been playing some minutes for the Nets. So they have a lengthy injury report.
It's very annoying that role players are playing well for them. When they traded all their depth, and it's annoying that they signed people too. Like we already discussed this weeks ago.
Bruce Brown having a breakout season for them, playing really
Bruce
good.
Brown's been horrible.
I
Not
think I
horrible,
told you I
but like
wanted him on the Celtics.
I did too because he's
I
local.
believe. Yeah,
I was
exactly.
for it.
Elise Johnson. That one should really piss you off because he was on the Celtics for a minute. real briefly, I believe. Or maybe I'm thinking of Emil Jefferson. There was some guy. You remember at the
Jefferson is
beginning
the
of the
one.
season? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, though, right?
The Johnson guy, I don't know who the hell that is, but the guy Jefferson, he went to Duke with Tatum, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I understand your point though. It's frustrating to see these smaller role player guys have breakout seasons or play above their level or whatever.
See, look at Philadelphia. They have quality role players going into the season. Danny Green, I don't know why, like he didn't play well for the Lakers for some reason, but he's a quality player.
Who is it? Who are you talking about again?
Danny Green.
Yeah, okay.
Quality player. Seth Curry, quality player. Like their shooters are quality. Korkmaz has been all right for them. You know, then they have production from guys like Maxey. They brought in George Hill, which is going to be a pain in the ass to play against.
Is George Hill playing yet? I know he's hurt for a while.
Curry scored on him in a highlight the other day. That's how I know he's playing.
All right, bet. Gotcha. You take a look at the Suns injury report. I feel like we're disregarding the Suns game, and in reality, that's going to be a really hard one as well.
Well, no, I'm not disregarding. I said they're like one of the best teams in the West.
I mean, in terms of we're talking a lot about the Nets. I mean, right now.
Well, that's because they're relevant to the big picture.
No, yeah, exactly. But my point, I was just saying I wanted to look at the injury report. Dario Saric is day to day questionable for the Sixers game. He's actually having a season. And our old friend Abdel Nader is also listed as out for the Houston game.
That's another one that pissed me off. He was horrible for the Celtics when he would actually get minutes. And now
he is
good in
real
Oklahoma
good.
City and good in Phoenix.
It's definitely irritating. Darius Sarge having a solid season, I believe, for the Phoenix Suns. He's not amazing. He's averaging 45
I
from the
remember how
field,
bad he
35
would be in the playoffs when he was on Philadelphia.
from three. Yeah, he's playing all right now. 35 from three isn't great, but he plays his role well. They don't really have a true four outside of him. Crowder runs a lot of that for them. But Nader's averaging 7 points and 2.5 rebounds roughly for them this season on 41.9% from the field. From three, I mean 41.9 from three, I should say, and 49.1 from the field. So he's playing real good. He's playing real good for the Suns, and 15 minutes a game, which is definitely irritating to say the least. Another guy, I mean, if you want to talk around the league of guys who, Celtics role players playing well, PJ Dozier is also playing amazing for the Nuggets.
We did this before. We talked about him,
Max Strus as well.
Strus, and I think Nader was the last one we brought up.
Yeah,
They've all been playing pretty well.
But
in fairness to the Celtics, I don't think those guys would have played well if they were here because they wouldn't have got the roles. Because when they were on the Celtics,
season, maybe,
the Celtics were really deep.
Yeah. And
you know what I'm saying?
And yeah, hindsight.
Like if they were on the team this season, they would have been able to produce like this. Because they're relying a lot on young depth to be their bench when it hasn't panned out all the time. They've had good games though. And I think those young guys are playing well in the roles they're meant to play. But like you mentioned with the Chicago game, they had to play a little bit of a bigger role and it hurt them, but they still shouldn't have lost that game.
Yeah, no, I understand your point.
They didn't execute. They turned the ball over too much. They missed a lot of shots. Tatum had an off night, which happens.
Yeah, it was rough. But you got to move on to the next one, I guess. A guy who has been playing well, though I want to briefly touch on him because we talked about him last time, but Jabari Parker having another solid game against the Bulls, regardless of the outcome. I mean, he's playing well lately, right?
Yeah, I'm very happy for him, which is weird. Not weird, but like the reason, I don't know why, like even though he's on the Celtics, like that isn't the main reason I'm happy he's doing well. Like I'm just happy like he was a high pick in the draft and like he's, playing well on a decent team.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean averaging 9.5 points through 2
He is
games.
a difference maker when he's out there, I think.
He really is.
I think he's definitely helpful off the bench. Him and Fournier will be really good to have as relief guys. I mean, it sucks having guys out there that can't score, which you had Monday.
Yeah.
Like I said, like they scored 30-something points the first quarter, didn't break 100 for the game. Like that's awful. No business doing that.
It was ugly, and I think I know I mentioned to you, Brad Stevens said they want to run some small ball 5 for Jabari Parker, and you questioned it. But in that Warriors game, he grabbed 4 offensive rebounds. Like he showed why he can. Exactly. Exactly. And he showed why he can play some small 5. And the biggest thing he does that the Celtics haven't done this year is cut and just move off ball. And he's done a great job of that because no one else on the Celtics outside of maybe Jaylen Brown and Robert Williams, who that's not Jaylen Brown's whole game. And that's all Robert Williams does, is able to do that. And so to have a wing /4/small ball 5, whatever, who can do that and also shoot some mid-range jumpers, I think it's really going to be helpful off the bench for the Celtics in terms of scoring. And the defense does need to pick up a little bit, though, for Jabari Parker. But
for him, yeah. But as a team, they've been playing decent defense. Even Monday, I mean, there were stretches where they couldn't get stops, but they still only gave up 100-something, like 102. That's pretty good.
It was just an off offensive night for the Celtics.
It is Chicago, who's awful, but, didn't allow a whole lot of points.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me open up this next sort of, little segment here by asking you this. Hawks or the Knicks, who would you rather play in the first round of the playoffs?
That's a good question because Atlanta really gave the Celtics a hard time in the games they played this season. But the Celtics have been really bad up until this point. I think they're finding their footing a bit, especially with new depth with Fournier and Parker and, Tatum finally playing a little bit better. You've got a lot of bonuses, and it would be a different team that they're playing against. Atlanta also traded Rondo away, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't know why they did that because he's kicking ass in LA with the Clippers. The Knicks are a really good defensive team, and their young guys are kind of having the same kind of blossom that the Celtics are, where they're starting to improve. Like Tatum is playing high, so is RJ Barrett. Jeez,
Mhm.
he's playing a lot
Julius
better.
Randle's improved
Julius
as
Randle
well.
is yeah, but he's been
Corey's
good
good.
all season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Okay. Yeah. I got you. I
the
understand what you're
guys
saying. Yeah.
around Randle are starting to pick it up, and that's kind of what's
Yes.
scary. And they're a good
Traded for
defensive
D.
team. Atlanta is
Traded for
not.
D Rose. D Rose is there now,
Defense is what wins you games in the playoffs, not offense, really.
and the Knicks are good at that. Give them
And
credit;
Atlanta
they're a
is
good defensive
not.
team. Exactly. So you're saying
So
you'd probably lean
Atlanta
towards
and their
Atlanta.
3 fans that have been with their megaphones on Twitter will be my preferred opponent. Yes.
That's what I wanted to bring up next because we
I
talked about it
know.
on
I
pregame.
even segued for you. I knew what you were going to bring up.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen as much of it as you have. So if you could elaborate and just tell me some of the things you've seen on Twitter, that'd be great because Atlanta's been talking shit lately.
Today I saw someone say past Brown and Tatum. They admitted that Young and Collins are not as good of a top two, but 3 through 15 are worlds better than the Celtics are.
Okay.
They had, which I think Atlanta has some good depth. Don't get me wrong,
I
but
think that's a bit
when the
of a stretch,
Celtics
though.
are, Fournier, Parker, Smart, Kemba, those guys are all good players, man.
We
And
could
not to
map
mention
it
Robert
out.
Williams and Tristan Thompson are good players.
You want to map out the rosters to go back at Atlanta fans right here?
I
I'm
mean, we
down.
can, but I don't think it's necessary. I think it speaks for itself. Just
We
go have a look if you
Yeah, we
disagree.
don't have to go. We don't have to go full in depth. But I'm
I'll
talking. So
I'll
Brown
keep
and Tatum
going.
obviously better,
Oh, go
right?
ahead.
Yeah, Brown and Tatum obviously better. Then I'll probably slot in Trey Young next, realistically, right?
All right.
And then past that, what you got? Collins or Smart? I feel like is a real argument that I would make, right?
What about
Or
Kemba
am I
Walker?
tripping?
Kemba
Kemba Walker
Walker is
too.
getting back up there to where like people can say he's good again.
Yeah.
He's playing good basketball. So I'd say
I'd
after Trey
put
Young, it's probably Kemba Walker.
I'd
It's
put
close.
Capella above Collins, anyways. I think
Yeah, me
Capella's a better
too.
player
I think
than
Capella's a good
Collins.
player. And
Mhm.
he was the problem for the Celtics when they were playing them.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think Smart and Kemba both have an argument above Collins. I think Capella's probably better than both of those guys in the Celtics, though, realistically, just because of how good he is.
It's hard to
And then
say
past that,
with Kemba because Kemba is he can be really good. And he's shown like flashes of being that good. And he's gotten better every month of the season. It's
mhm,
it's very the Kemba thing is so weird. Like we already talked about this, but like it's so strange because you don't really know what's coming.
yeah,
And I don't think
hell,
he's
you can
completely
make an
comfortable with the
argument
role
for
yet.
Fournier above John Collins. I mean, come on, like whatever. I don't know. Anyways,
April
continue. What
Fournier
other?
was something else when he was
True.
playing.
What other trash talk you got that you've heard from Hawks fans on Twitter?
I heard a healthy Hawks team like wins in like 5 or 6. I've heard what else did they say? Like like Jaylen Brown is gonna get locked up by like Cam Reddish. Like they have answers for like the best Celtic scorers.
hmm
Like I don't know. Atlanta is a good team and they are kind of deep, which is good for them. Bogdanovich, that prick Gallinari who didn't miss any shots against them that one game. But the Celtics are deep too when guys aren't in COVID protocol.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah, I agree.
I
And
don't
Our
think there's anything
friend
else.
Tim sent us something in the group chat today.
I
Our
didn't
friend
I didn't
Tim
look at
sent
it
some.
yet, so this will be a genuine reaction.
It was the caption was peak for peak, right? So I don't know if that means the peak this player could be at or the peak they're at right now, but it was
I'd say could be.
Trey Young over Rajon Rondo was this tweet that
It's probably no. It's probably like peak Trey Young, but he doesn't play defense. That's the problem.
I think it's talking about right now though. I think it's talking about peak Trey Young as in right now over prime Rondo over the Celtics because there's a picture of Trey Young right now, obviously, and a picture of Rondo on the Celtics. So it's yeah, no. Someone said Trey ain't at his peak yet, and then he said so right now. It's a clown. You're a
Oh well, he
clown.
said I don't know. Prime Rondo. It's very hard because when Rondo was really in his prime, like he was playing around like a lot of people, and they're different kind of players. Like if you switch them right now, Atlanta wouldn't be as good as they are probably. Trey Young is a good passer too. We don't really talk about that a lot, but he's a good passer.
He is
I think
really
I
good.
think it's somewhat fair. He's definitely a better offensive player. They're just different players though. Rondo is a
Yeah.
terrific defensive player in his prime. And defense is what wins you in the playoffs.
Bingo.
I don't know. It's close, but I don't know. It's such a weird thing. It's almost like apples to oranges.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's weird. It's definitely interesting. There's one more brief thing I want to talk about, and it's completely random. I just have it on the list because I saw something and I bookmarked the tweet that I want to, bring up to you. First of all, what's your overall opinion on Kevin Durant? Again, I told you it's totally out of left field, but just do you have an opinion on Kevin Durant as a play,
Excellent
as in
player. I
general?
like him. He beat LeBron a couple times. Good for him. Made me happy. Um, would have loved him on the Celtics. Very happy that he considered joining them. One of his top options when he was in free agency. He's one of my more well liked non Celtics in the league, even though he plays in Brooklyn. I do think he's sensitive though. Like he gets really upset, but good for him.
Mhm.
Who cares? Let him talk his shit.
Okay, so I suppose that's around the line of question I had because I saw a tweet. And he said NBA players on their former NBA championships. It has like 2,000 likes, so I think that's why I ended up in my timeline. But there's four pictures. One is like, oh, Kawhi Leonard thanking Duncan, Parker, and Ginobili. Them, Shaq like praising Kobe Bryant or whatever. LeBron saying D Wade was like, I needed him, whatever. Regardless of your opinion
I
on
know
him,
what
I'm
you're talking
just
about,
the
but go
point.
ahead.
And then Kevin Durant liking a tweet that said Kevin Durant was better than Steph Curry both those years. Laughing face. Everybody knows it, bro. Don't try and kid yourself. This MF Curry needed another MVP and three All Stars to get the job done. Trash ass. I feel like my opinion is it was more of him saying, haha, that's funny. It's a joke. Do you think KD, my question to you is, do you think KD's actually an asshole?
I think he has people he doesn't like. I don't think Curry's one of those guys. I think he doesn't like Draymond.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
He
I
had
don't
he had
think
Draymond on his podcast the other day, though. Did you
did
see
he?
that?
I don't know.
He
It's
did.
weird. They had issues. That's one of the
They
reasons he
did.
left.
They did, yeah.
Curry's a terrific player too. I don't think Durant's the weirdest thing I saw from Durant was that like he ranked Irving above Westbrook in his like best teammates, and he's only played 18 games with Kyrie.
He ranked Serge Ibaka above Westbrook and his teammates.
Yeah, well, I think those guys don't like each other. I think that might be on Westbrook. I think Westbrook's definitely a dick.
Yeah, Westbrook probably took it a little bit too personally, but whatever. I just thought that was interesting, that tweet I saw. But now I have another game for you, of those questions that say this or that. Remember how we played those a couple times? So I
Yep.
have five. Two of them are along the lines of who would you rather have on this currently constructed Celtics team.
All right.
One is two are very random and more of a joke, kind of
Okay.
like I don't want you to take them too seriously, and one is like just a random, like realistic one, kind of.
Okay.
So I'll start with the this or that. Like, who would you rather have on the team? Who would you rather have on this currently constructed playoff team? You don't have to get rid of anybody. You don't have to trade anybody. No one gets replaced. They're just on the team. Prime Rajon Rondo or
Okay.
prime Larry Bird. It sounds obvious, but I know how
It's
much you
kind of hard because
exactly. I knew you were gonna say
like
this.
Bird. I mean, you have to say Bird because he's like a top 10 player of all time,
Yep.
and he could facilitate and handle the ball. Like he would do what Rondo does. So it's going to
Okay.
be Bird, but Rondo would be another interesting piece because he'd be able to have the same role he had on those big three teams, being like a fourth option type guy that runs, pushes the pace. But Bird is just unreal. The only reason why it's even a real question is because they've got two wings already that are excellent players.
Yep. Yep. And that's why I knew it'd be an interesting question at the very least, because it sounds super obvious when you
But
say it.
Bird is the answer because he's literally one of the best players ever to play.
Yes.
Plays good defense. He's got size. If he played today, he'd probably be similar to Luka. You know, I
Yeah.
think it was Cedric Maxwell was saying like, Larry never really wanted to facilitate and like be the ball handler, but if he played today, it'd be different.
Mhm.
And
How tall was he? He's 6'9". I feel like
yeah,
he'd
he's
be
a
like a
big guy.
Jokic too. He could be Jokic. Low
Yeah,
key.
Jokic is like the same thing. That we all talked about this the first time Denver came to the Garden this year, and he like missed 3 shots the whole night.
Yeah, Jokic he's one of the best. All right, so last time we played this game, I asked you Jokic or Embiid, and you said Embiid, correct?
Yeah,
So I'm gonna put a twist on it. Would you rather have Joel Embiid on the Celtics or Steph Curry on the Celtics?
Curry,
Mhm.
because I mean he's unreal. Look at him.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I don't know because
Yep.
if you have Embiid, that
So like
even though Robert Williams
Kemba.
has been excellent, but one, you don't have to play against Embiid,
Hmm.
so that's one thing. He takes that hole out of the middle, and I love Embiid. I think he'd be an excellent Celtic. I mean, you don't have to play against him. You're going to get all those free throws for your team.
Well,
He's
Steph
an
Curry, Steph
MVP
Curry.
candidate. So is Curry, even
That's why
though
I'm saying this is a
his
tough
team's
question.
horrible. But you're not trading anything. You'd still have Kemba on the team.
Yep.
So there's no need. There's more of a need to bring in Embiid than
Which is why I
Curry.
asked.
And Williams
So
can come off the bench again and be fine.
what's your answer then? Is it Embiid instead?
It's Embiid. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. See, these are the type of things I was thinking of because I knew that would
What
be
would you
your
have said?
exact. I'd probably go Curry, just because like I don't know. I think it's just too hard to pass up on that.
Well,
And
I agree, but the way the team is constructed, like the
yes,
whole is where Embiid is, not where Curry is. And he can get you money, buckets. But I guess if you have Curry, you don't have to slow the game down. With Embiid, you can't run.
And imagine, realistically, Robert Williams is probably one of the best centers Curry's ever played with. I mean, right?
Yeah, Curry's never had a good center on his team.
That's my point. So imagine those like pick and rolls with Steph Curry and the pick and pops. I don't know. That it's just like it's so hard to pass up on that level of shooting, in my opinion. And I completely understand the need for Joel Embiid because it's definitely more so than Steph Curry. But like the way he's playing right now, especially, is just it's.
I was
so
thinking
hard
the other day, I was like, imagine if Curry, when they were playing with Golden State, I was like, imagine if he was on this team instead of Kemba. Like how
That's why I asked
ridiculous
the
it would be.
Yeah, no, it's Steph Curry's out of this world. And like you said, you are one of the many people who are very, winning is everything. Like if you're not winning, you're not an MVP candidate. And even you are saying Steph Curry could be an MVP candidate this year, right? Like that's how good he's been, right?
Right.
So for you to say that especially means he's playing some absolute
I
ridiculous
mean, he's
basketball.
like scoring like 50 points a game.
Yeah. Yeah. So
his team's not winning, but like they're in a play-in position, and he's killing it. Did he miss time this year, Jack? Was Curry out for a while? I feel like he was.
He was, I think. Let me check though. I think I forget what it was. I think it was a butt injury. I think he hurt his tailbone. I know he wore a butt pad in the last game, which is why I say that. So, which is kind of funny. Let me find game log for this year. I can tell you how many games he
with Curry. Like it's different to me because one, he won a title. He's never left the Warriors.
He's missed 8 games this year.
All right, so he hasn't missed a whole lot of games.
Yeah.
He's never left the Warriors. He won a title before, like the first title, he beat the Cavs in the finals. When LeBron had first went back, they had guys out, but I mean, he was playing with Clay and Harrison Barnes and Iguodala, and like that team wasn't like a favorite team. Like he was the one that made that team the favorite. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's already done all that. So like he has like the respect of people like me.
Is he top 20? Is he top 20 all time?
All time? Oh yeah, probably for sure.
I just asked because my brother showed me a clip yesterday, and Skip Bayless, genius Skip Bayless. He's like he's not even close to my top 20 because
Skip Bayless has some things I very much agree with that he says, but
he's a clown. Skip Bayless is a clown.
Hates LeBron James. He's a very intelligent man sometimes when he wants to be.
All right. I got 3 more questions for you.
Right.
I'll save the most realistic one for last because I think it would draw the most.
Fantasy ones are fun too, but I don't care.
These are less so fantasy ones, or one of them's a fantasy one one of them's just kind of funny, and I think it'll make you a little bit angry because you'll be like, "Why this is stupid? I don't want to answer this because it's dumb." But so I'll ask you that one first.
All right.
Would you rather Luke Cornett has to be the starting center on this team, and by starting center I mean he has to play 20 plus minutes every game. You can't just start him and take him out immediately.
All right.
Or Tatum can never play over 30.
Probably the Tatum thing.
Really?
Yeah. Because one, you're gonna benefit in the long term because he's gonna be fine. He's gonna have less wear and tear.
I guess.
You could manage his minutes if you really wanted to. If you really had to do it, you could make it so Jaylen Brown got a lot more minutes. Kemba would get more minutes. You'd have Jabari Parker and Fournier off the bench to help out with some of the scoring.
Yeah. All right. I just thought that was funny. I just thought that would be a funny one because I thought it'd take you a little longer, and that's not the answer I thought you would have gone with either. But interesting. All righty.
But Cornette is the starting center to continue to discuss it. Like it wouldn't be the worst thing either because he is still a solid player. Mm-hmm. When he got minutes, he was solid. I just think Robert Williams is too good. And plus Cornet isn't really equipped to play defense on a lot of big guys like Embiid or Jokic or
gotcha.
like an Anthony Davis. So that's why.
Alrighty. Two more. One is a fantasy one and one's the realistic. Fantasy one. Would you rather LeBron never win a title? Okay. Number
All
one,
right.
never wins in Cleveland, never wins in Miami, never wins with LA. Or the Paul Pierce Celtics go back to back.
That's tough.
Yep.
I think if LeBron doesn't win a title, the Celtics get a couple more.
This is not, you can't have both though.
No, I'm not saying, listen.
I understand what you're saying, yeah.
Like if he's not, well, I guess he still gets to the finals.
But say in each of those he still gets the finals, but he just loses to a Western Conference team.
Yeah, okay.
So it would give the Warriors one more, the Spurs and the Thunder one, and then the Heat won last year, I guess, technically. But yeah,
that's hard. I'd say the Celtics.
You'd rather them go back to back, and LeBron can keep his titles.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
And they get two. That makes Paul Pierce more of a legit player in a lot of people's minds.
Wouldn't it also mean the Lakers have one less?
The Lakers would have one less, and the Celtics would have one more. Yeah, that's easy.
There you go. I helped you answer that one. And all right, last one. And this is less of a this or that and more of just hypothetical.
All right.
If you could go back and have never done, I know there's more moving pieces to this or whatever, and players didn't want to go. But if you could go back and the Kemba for Terry Rozier swap never happened, would you do it?
All right.
Keep in mind salary. I know it's more to it than just like, okay.
It was Wayne that we were talking to. He said Terry Rozier might have been the problem on the team.
Yeah, but with no Kyrie Irving on the team, he can be the starter. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. Yeah. But there's a reason that they didn't do that at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like
they didn't have a choice.
What do you mean they didn't have a choice? Oh,
wait, what do you exactly?
He's a restricted free agent. They could have brought him back.
Kyrie?
No, Terry Rozier.
Oh, no, but I'm saying, like, obviously there's more stuff to it than that. But realistically, if you could go back and keep Terry instead of signing Kemba, keep in mind, Terry makes around 18 mil, Kemba makes around 35. You know what I'm saying? Would you do it? Would you take?
So we're including the money?
Yeah,
the money. Yeah, you do that.
Okay. Interesting.
Terry Rozier, a decent defender. He's playing at a pretty high level, and he'd probably be a good third option on this team. Yeah, and he doesn't really get hurt.
Also true. But yeah, I thought that was interesting as well.
Mm-hmm. People like him. I think he was well liked. I don't know. It's because Wayne did make a good point. He was making a big problem about everything with Kyrie, but they almost made the finals when he was the starting point guard. So
also true. Terry would not have quit on his team. I'll give him that. He would not have.
He would not have quit. He remember when Kyrie said he should have taken more shots, and he was like 3 of however many he shot. It's like, shut up, buddy.
But yeah, that's all the hypotheticals I got. That's all the topics I got for today. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up before we start to wrap the show?
No, nothing really. Big games this week. They need to keep playing well. That's the big thing. Keep the momentum going. If you want that game to be meaningless, like you say, Jack, like where they were missing guys, then play like it. When the guys are healthy, play the same kind of basketball you've been playing. Don't let it affect them. For sure. So yeah, big game. Suns, the Nets, back to back, and then you got a little bit. I don't want to say an easy stretch, but some. It's an easy stretch. Say it.
I don't want to say it after the last one.
Oklahoma City's tanking. Charlotte. Well, LaMelo might be back for that, so that'll be an interesting game.
OKC is 0-10 in their last 10. I saw. So
yeah, that means they're going to win against the Celtics.
Of course, Moses Brown will come to play. But thank you guys so much for the support. Our last episode did really well. We really like the fact that you guys are enjoying our content. You guys can follow me at JackSimoneNBA on Twitter. Follow us at BannerTime USA. That account's getting bigger, allowing us to bring more content to you guys. And yeah, Sam, go ahead and wrap us up. Yeah, thank you very much for listening. Like Jack said, we got a lot of support on the last one. Make sure to check out the YouTube channel. This video will be up there. That way we don't have our cameras on for nothing. It's just BannerTime USA on YouTube. Made a weird Celtics recap last week. If you missed that, it's up on Twitter. Is it up on the BannerTime channel, Jack? I think I need to get it up there. I was a little bit busy, but it's not a big deal. I'll put it up. Yeah. But it'll be up there. This is fun to make. Yeah, we like doing this. So thanks for listening. Follow our Twitters at JacksOneNBA, at BannerTime USA, and then I'm at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's our triple. Tic-tac-toe.